Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Now it's here.
Just 1 minute. I think there's a setting on my. Okay, that's the reason. Headset, headphones. Yeah, I think now it's okay. Okay, some setting. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Bol, Hare Bol. So let us start with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Radhanath Swami Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Mande Shri Gurum Dintaranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So I'm just noting, can all of you hear me speak? I am seeing one message that I'm not audible.
It's audible. It's audible, Prabhuji.
Okay, okay. Let me just message. Okay. Hari Bol. So thank you all for joining. So today is a very auspicious day. Not only it is the month of Kartik, it is also the most auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's Tirubhav Mahotsav, which means the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. So this being such a very significant day, so I'm going to take the opportunity to discuss something about the person Bhagavad. We are discussing always about the book Bhagavad, but this book Bhagavad is possible for us to be discussing because of the causeless mercy of one person Bhagavad. So millions of copies of the Bhagavad have reached tens and millions of people. The Bhagavad Gita, as it is I don't know, remember the exact number, but the number of copies is in crores and crores, which have been distributed all over the world in multiple languages. So we want to discuss about this great personality. It is always very purifying to discuss about great pure personality. It is very not only purifying for us to remember their name, their activities, their pastimes. It is also interesting that we just very recently discussed about the great devotees in the line of Lord Chaitanya, the Chaitanya tree. And we have discussed so many branches. Of course, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has written the Chaitanya Charitamrita not many years after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he has written wonderfully about the prominent devotees. But if Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami were to come today and publish a revised edition of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he would add many more chapters, and in the Chaitanya tree, he would also add a few verses mentioning another very prominent branch, actually a sub-branch to be more precise, under Rupa and Sanatan and the various sub-branches. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness arguably is perhaps numerically, at least numerically we can be very certain. Qualitatively, it is very difficult to say because how to measure the quality of devotees, but at least numerically, the biggest and the most prominent branch. Again, like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, no offense, no comparisons to all the great devotees, but I'm talking from a numerical perspective. Because that many leaves and branches and sub-branches, no other branch has produced, as far as we know, and as far as what is recorded. And so many pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are still continuing, in the sense that the Leela of Lord, because the Leela of Lord Chaitanya is not just the Lord's own Leela. Chaitanya Charitamrita has the Leela of so many of his devotees and followers. And we have discussed this multiple times, that even no matter how insignificant we are and conditioned souls we are still so fortunate that we are also part of the extended pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. The tree is still there and the tree is still growing. And we are on the tree. We are in one of the sub-branches of the sub-branches of the sub-branches. But that branch is so big that it is perhaps even comparable to the tree. It is such a big branch. Now, just to give you some idea of the significance, again, repeatedly I say, we are not trying to compare to, pure devotees to pure devotees. So we mean no disrespect or belittling anybody else. This is all in the glory of Srila Prabhupada. That even when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came personally in this world, Krishna, he spread Krishna consciousness only, of course, by his own free will, only within the boundaries of India. Is it that he couldn't have done it beyond? No, of course he could have done. I mean, who can stop the Lord from doing anything? In fact, the Chaitanya Charitamrita says the Lord causelessly delivered the whole universe when he was personally present on the planet. It said everybody who was present was delivered. So somehow we missed the train. We perhaps came from another universe. But no harm, we still have the opportunity. The door has not closed. The last bogie of the train is still there on the platform. We can jump onto it. Another 10,000 years to go. After that, no more trains on the platform for another one day of Brahma. I'm talking about the Goloka train. Other trains will be there. Brahma Jyoti train will be there. Higher planets train will be there. Of course, the most common train is going to the hellish planets, which is coming every 1 or 2 minutes repeatedly and is always full. But anyway, we don't want to talk about that today. We're talking about the Goloka train and we still have this wonderful opportunity. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, the Lord was, by his own desire, even though he, through his, directly and through his various devotees, spread the holy names of the Lord pretty much throughout India, the Lord did not expand his pastimes beyond the boundaries of India. Of course, if the Lord wanted, he could have done it, but he kept that service specifically for his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. It is not that before Prabhupada went to the West, other Gaudiya devotees had not tried this feat. It was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's great desire that Krishna consciousness spread all over the world. He instructed his son and another pure devotee, Acharya Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, to take that mission. But even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, now I'm not trying to say that in any way, any qualification related discussion, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had given that mandate because the Lord chooses a specific devotee out of his own sweet will. Why exactly he chooses X and not Y and not Z, that is, we are too small to make any comments on that. But what we can say for sure is if the Lord is choosing one person among so many pure devotees, then that pure devotee must be very, very extraordinarily close and dear to the Supreme Personality of God. Is it not? And this mission was very, 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 very difficult. Preaching in India is still difficult. But still, there is, at least 500 years ago, Sanatan Dharma was still there. You could still argue on the basis of scripture. You would still have the vast majority of dharmic people respecting sadhus and shastra. But this task was practically impossible. In the 1960s, India wasn't particularly respected around the world either. The West was in a state of havoc. I don't want to go into too much detail into the circumstances there because then we cannot discuss much others. I just want to share a few thoughts. I'm not going to be discussing in detail past times, but just some thoughts to understand and appreciate the greatness of Srila Prabhupada. That was actually a very, very difficult, challenging situation. Prabhupada went penniless to the West just because he was instructed by a spiritual master. He took that service upon himself with full faith. Why with full faith? Why we say with full faith? Because he had no idea how he's going to do it. It's not that everything was booked. The whole plan was there, investment was there, workforce was waiting, and he had to just go there and execute. One company brings in new CEO and he has a full organization waiting for him and he has to execute. No, there was no organization. There was no money. There was not even a detailed plan. Prabhupada said, I only have the instructions of my spiritual master. And I have full faith in the holy name. Prabhupada writes during his travel in one of the poems, Markine Bhagavata Dharma. It is my only qualification. Actually, I have no qualification. I have no idea what I'm going to do. But I have full faith. Prabhupada received that inspiration. Prabhupada received the blessings of Rupa Goswami when he was staying at Radha Damodar temple, where Rupa Goswami's Samadhi is there. Rupa Goswami appeared to him. Prabhupada reveals in private that he appeared to him and instructed him to go to the West and blessed him. So he was given the mandate. But he was just given the mandate. He was not given a detailed plan and resources and bank balance and said go. So this is the difference. When a pure devotee is given the mandate, he has so much faith that Krishna will arrange and do the needful. How exactly? Even pure devotees are not revealed upfront in detail. And that is the excitement of the surrendered devotee. For us, it will be full of panic. It will be panic. Hey, Krishna, don't do like this to me, la. Don't do. Tell me everything. Where I'm going to stay? Is the hotel booked properly? Who's receiving me at the airport? Huh? You are arranging people to come. No, I will give class, but you have to arrange for people to come. That is our. For most of us, we are struggling at that level. Prabhupada had no idea, but he went. And for a long time, he didn't even know how this is going to get achieved. It is not that he went there and, everything, instantly manifested. No. So please read the amazing struggles that Srila Prabhupada went through in the Leelamrit. There are also many, many beautiful books written by many of his senior disciples. Many of the disciples have written about different parts of Srila Prabhupada's pastimes and Leelas. Of course, the most comprehensive one is the Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, penned primarily by Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj. There's also a condensed version of that book, which is also, like a novel size and gives a good overview of the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. And so many amazing episodes, amazing activities, full of millions of miracles, not miracles where, like what mystic yogis do, not miracles in that sense, producing ashes out of thin air, floating in the air, disappearing from one place, appearing another. These kind of manipulations of material energies are not the real miracle. The real miracle is to create devotion in a place where there is sin. That is the most difficult thing. Prabhupada went to the land where, what to speak of dharma, nobody had understood Krishna. The people were breaking all regulative principles. They had no idea even about the basic principles of religion. No eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Prabhupada was speaking to an audience who had no idea of Vedic culture. People in the US, when they would see devotees in the early days, they would wonder, who are these people who are wearing bed sheets on their body and jumping around the streets? And when they would see this tilak mark, it would appear to some people, they had no idea of this white gopi chandan tilak mark. They would think these are bird droppings. Oh, what happened here? What happened? Bird droppings on your forehead. That's all kind of funny things were there. So he was preaching to such a culture, and such a culture to convince them about Krishna, scriptures, spiritual practices, everything. It was like from ground zero building up. I don't know how many of us can imagine, but if you can, it is nothing short of an absolute miracle. It is impossible to achieve what he achieved at the age of 70 plus. With no money, with no help, with no support, when even many of his audience would even struggle to even understand his accent. He was not, from a external perspective, a very charismatic speaker. If you hear some of the early classes of Srila Prabhupada, even us who are from an Indian background, many of us will struggle to understand what exactly Prabhupada is speaking. Because very strong Bengali accent, even in his English. His English was good, but a very strong Bengali accent. It's not easy to follow what he's saying. And that too, Vedic terminology, high philosophy, lofty concepts to a Western audience who has not even heard Krishna before they met Prabhupada. So I'm just giving some hint, but it was, practically from that stage to creating a worldwide movement single-handedly. This requires very direct empowerment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very, very special, very handpicked person. And throughout the whole journey, he was always absolutely dependent on the Lord. Even as he was traveling in the ship, in that song, he says, "Oh Lord, make me dance, like a puppet in your hand, make me dance. I do not know. You are sending me to the West. I don't know what is your plan, but I am willing to serve you in whatever way." Kashtera puttali jatha, nachao je mate. Make me dance like a wooden puppet. He says, I have neither knowledge nor any other qualification, but I have only one qualification. Name Kuba Daro. I have very strong faith in the holy name. So I know that if I simply go there and chant the holy names of the Lord with faith, the holy names of the Lord can bring about the necessary transformation because they are carrying your potency. And that's precisely what Prabhupada did. What did he do? He went, sat under a tree in Tomskin Square Park in New York, in a very small park area, sat under a tree, sat with Kartal and started playing the Kartal and chanting the holy names. And just closed his eyes and he was praying. And people came slowly. And he would do this every day for many days. Gradually, a regular crowd came and they would sing and they would dance. So many beautiful pastimes. I'm just sharing, little snippets here and there. But whatever Srila Prabhupada has achieved is, nothing short of an absolute miracle. So obviously, by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Prabhupada achieved, you could say in one sense, more than what Lord Chaitanya manifested at an external level. In the sense that Lord Chaitanya spread it in India and Lord Chaitanya had predicted in his Leela, Prithivete yache yata nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoibo moranam, that my holy names will be chanted in every town and village. And until a few decades ago, even all the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would think, oh, this is a poetic exaggeration of Lord Chaitanya. Correct? Sometimes we say, people say, oh, my love for you is higher than the mountains and deeper than the seas. It sounds very nice, poetic and all that. Okay, everybody claps. Oh, such nice poetry. This is all poetry. Because others tried to take the holy name outside India, but nobody had any success. Even amongst the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. The maximum success was by one sannyasi who could get one disciple. Gave lectures in a few places. Because it's not easy. How? Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. Without being directly empowered by Krishna Shakti, nobody can preach or spread the chanting of the holy names of the Lord all over the world. Or anywhere, forget all over the world. All over the world is a very big thing. At all, even to one person. It requires empowerment by the Lord. So we can see that very, very, very special empowerment. And Prabhupada did not take this instruction to go to the West very cheaply. He was always so deeply meditating on this instruction that his Gurudev had given, and he felt himself so insignificant and incapable, but he had faith, not in his own ability, but in the blessings and empowerment of a spiritual master. That if he has said that this is what I want you to do, then I must do it. And by his grace, everything will happen. Very strong faith. And we should have this kind of faith in the instructions of the Guru. If the Guru says, go and do this, we just go and do. And we believe that we are the instruments in the hands of Guru, and through Krishna and Guru's grace, things will manifest. And we will see in our own lives, whenever we develop this kind of consciousness and we act in this consciousness, we will see miraculous things will happen through us. I have had this experience many times. Whenever I have tried to develop this consciousness, it's not an easy consciousness to develop, but whenever I have tried to make an attempt, I have seen always it has produced very wonderful results. Krishna uses us very wonderfully to be instruments of his compassion. So Prabhupada has achieved which practically no other spiritual leader in the world has achieved ever in the history of mankind. First of all, to be a Krishna's devotee, some people think, oh, some XYZ may have more followers, more people following, this religion has so many followers. Followers, as in saying, I believe in XYZ, has no value. When we talk about followers, we are talking about those who have taken to heart and decided to dedicate their life to following a spiritual sadhana, a serious spiritual sadhana. Millions all over. And there are so many stories and episodes of so many lives transformed. There are books and books and books and tons of examples of this. I will not go into that today. But Prabhupada's life is such a wonderful example of this very, very extraordinary empowerment. And that is our great fortune. Actually, today we are here around 20 of us, 20 families connected together. So maybe 50, 60 of us are together right now, because behind some connections, there are 3, 4 individuals, families, sitting. So around there are 40, typically there are roughly around 50 of us in a class in that range. And we can very confidently say that all of us are here today because of the efforts of Srila Prabhupada. And this is going to continue, and this tree is going to continue. Of course, for us, maybe immediately XYZ, some other devotee may have connected us. But we can trace that back to Srila Prabhupada. Ultimately, we are all still reading Prabhupada's books. We are still going to his temples. We are following his process. In the sense, the way he fine-tuned the formula for us. Of course, the basic formula is chanting the holy names, reading Bhagavatam, serving the devotees, all these principles are standard. But the way he structured the system that he created, the institution that he created, the institution gives us that supporting social structure for us to go to a place where we can associate with like-minded souls. Bhakti is possible to be cultivated when we have the opportunity to regularly associated with like-minded devotees. This is the secret. It is otherwise very difficult. How are we going to make progress in bhakti, even though we may know philosophy? When I was very young, I was very interested in spiritual life, and I was wondering about what is the highest truth. And somehow I don't want to go into too many details, but somehow by Krishna's grace, I came in contact with Prabhupada's books. I was maybe 9-10 years old at that time. So I would pick up the books and I would read by myself. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Science of Self-Realization, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book, Journey of Self-Discovery. All this I read when I was around 10 years, 9 years, 10 years old. And I noticed one thing, Prabhupada would repeatedly say in all his books, association of devotees, association of devotees. So even though I don't remember so many things from what I read, this one thing I remembered. And I would say, how am I going to get association of devotees? I also want to chant the holy names and serve the Lord in the association of devotees. Where is this association? I mean, I'm talking for a 9-year, 10-year-old boy, from whatever he could imagine, where, So if I step out from my house, where do I look for it? Should I go and ring on somebody's bell and ask, do you have association of devotees? Where do I go to get that association of devotees? So even though I wanted to progress in bhakti, I wasn't really able to at that age, even though sometimes I made attempt to chant the holy names on my own, read the books, worship the Lord also. I insisted and made my parents buy a picture of Krishna. Very interestingly, the very first picture, I mean, this is not related to what you're talking about, just it came in my mind. The very first picture which I bought, I still remember the shop from where I bought, outside Parla railway station. A particular picture of Krishna I bought, and I was worshipping it for quite some time. The interesting thing about that picture, which I found out, I don't know who has painted that picture. It's not an ISKCON picture. It was a picture of Krishna standing with a cow. Not even Radharani was not there in that picture. Very interesting thing I found out of many years, that was the exact same picture which my spiritual master Radhanath Swami first worshipped when he came in contact with Krishna consciousness. For a long time he was worshipping Krishna in that picture. Very interesting. So maybe that picture must be special somehow. Must be drawn and painted by some devotee of the Lord. Anyway, so that apart. So the point is, the main question in my mind was where to get association of devotees. Of course, when I grew up, eventually a situation came that myself and Amit, today I think he's busy, he is not joined. We came in contact with the ISKCON temple, and we got connected to devotees. And why I'm mentioning this is that I could see such a huge difference between whatever 8-10 years that I was without association, and the moment I came into association of devotees, it was like, I had a car which had no fuel in it. I was just turning ignition on and pressing the, accelerator. But nothing was happening. And suddenly, like jet fuel put into the car. Car is moving suddenly. So this is so important to have access to the association of devotees. Satam prasanga mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana katha tajjoshanadhi apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. There are tons and tons of verses across the scriptures on the association of devotees, but essentially the Bhagavatam is saying that Hari Katha becomes tasty in the association of devotees. Satam prasangam mam virisam. And that is where the heart will become satisfied. Bhakti is not a loner process. Bhakti is a congregational process. And that is when one will perceive advancement. So why I'm mentioning all this again, the bottom line is, I could see that difference. And when I grew up, I came to realize that by Prabhupada's grace, practically all over the world, there is an access to such an association. Even if you are in Iran, so if any one of you are going to Iran, to Tehran, please contact me. I will not publish the address here, but I will tell you privately where you can get association of devotees. I have had Iranian nationals who were privately practicing Krishna consciousness. They were my counselees at one time. Now they have gone back to Iran privately in their own homes, chanting the holy names. And there are many. Even in Pakistan, there is an ISKCON temple. And the Rath Yatra of Jagannath happens there. In Africa, in everywhere. So I can't think of any place it does not. So practically all over the world, whether there's a big temple or not, practically in every town, may not be in every village yet, but that prophecy is gradually unfolding. So I believe most towns are covered already. Ukraine, Russia, of course, not what to speak about UK. I think many of you must have seen the UK's new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, visiting an ISKCON temple. That video has been doing the rounds, all over. So this kind of an infrastructure, devotional infrastructure of temples, of books, of devotees, of holy places, of spiritual education, of availability of Krishna Prasad, hundreds of Govinda's restaurants. See, without a supporting infrastructure, any discipline is difficult to follow, isn't it? For example, if you want to become vegetarian and live a vegetarian lifestyle, if the market where we are staying is not supporting a vegetarian lifestyle, it becomes difficult. If there are no vegetarian restaurants, if there are not many vegetarian vegetables available, it all becomes difficult. So that was such an important, significant contribution of Srila Prabhupada. I'm just emphasizing this particular point. There are, of course, millions of points to mention. But Prabhupada he created from nothing this setup, which is giving us shelter. So even though at an organizational level, sometimes everything may not be perfect, there may be issues, there may be shortcomings, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it is still the best option for us if we want to make spiritual advancement. So that is such an amazing contribution of Srila Prabhupada. Another of one of the most important contributions. Of course, Prabhupada spread the holy names all over the world. That is also a very, very important contribution. In fact, Prabhupada was so emphatic. Prabhupada was very emphatic that Krishna's names be spread. When ISKCON was being established, the society was being established, some of the disciples were thinking of names and they said, we will create a society, Bhaktivedanta Swami Society or something like that. They suggested various names. And Prabhupada said, no. The society is not named, it's not about me. Prabhupada selected the name International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Some said God consciousness. No, he said not just God. God is a very vague term. People understand different things when the word God, but Krishna is very specific. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada has made it possible through his efforts, through the temples, through the Harinam Sankirtans, through the Rath Yatras, that the names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, has become a household term practically all over the world. I haven't met yet any person who has never heard Hare Krishna. So even if the temple has not reached somewhere, the holy names have reached. And wherever I have traveled in the world, I'm talking about countries in Europe, of course, US, UK, everybody knows, even in the Middle East. I haven't come across anybody who has said, what is Hare Krishna? They may not know Prabhupada. They may not know ISKCON, but they have heard Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada's mission was to make the holy names of the Lord familiar to everybody, so that they can be encouraged to chant the holy name. Prabhupada put a lot of emphasis on spiritual education. Because this is one of the big problems, especially in today's society, especially in the Hindu community, because there is no proper attempt at spiritual education. Hopefully now we are hopeful that with certain positive changes happening in India, things may gradually improve. Of course, to what extent pure devotional service may be preached, that we do not know. But at least Prabhupada's movement is there to spread the message of pure devotional service. Prabhupada put such extraordinary efforts to translate the Gita, the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ishopanishad, and write so many other small books in English language and ensure massive worldwide distribution. You cannot imagine how much and how many books have been distributed. I don't have a ready figure right now, but it is huge. It's almost like, I think altogether the number of books ever distributed is something like 500 million or something like that. Anyway, you can Google that. It's there somewhere. It's just an absolutely ridiculously 55 million. Is it? No, that's just Bhagavad Gita, I think. Is it? Suraj?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's Bhagavad Gita. I was seeing Gaurang Gada's video. 55 is Bhagavad Gita.
55 million is only Bhagavad Gita. It's around 500 million. If you consider all the Bhagavatams, all the small books, everything is around 500 million. May have increased now beyond that. Can you imagine? And the job continues. So much the message has been distributed. It's just mind-boggling. By whom? By this one person through his disciples. Of course, he himself, Prabhupada put such extraordinary efforts to translate. In his pastimes, Prabhupada was there in the Western world from around 1965 to 1977, around 11 to 12 years, around 11 years. He traveled all over the world multiple times. As he was, oh yes, thank you. Yeah, that's 500 million. Thank you. So my number is very close to correct. See, 503 million books. 503,385,383 books. have been distributed. And this is no longer the latest number because already it has exceeded. So it has gone beyond 500 million. And this is in multiple languages. The Gita is available in, I don't know, 50, 60 languages or more. It's there in Arabic, it is there in Japanese, Chinese, you name the language and it is there. Prabhupada put such tremendous effort because he did not want this movement to be a sentimental, guru-based movement. That, people are just coming to the movement, being attracted by the charm of a charismatic guru and, coming and just saying, Jai, Jai Guru, and, give me this blessing, give me that blessing. He did not want his society to be reduced to that kind of a following. He wanted the devotees to be focused on Krishna and to be conversant with the wisdom of the Gita and the Bhagavad, and to practice Krishna consciousness in its true sense so that they can actually achieve the real result of Krishna Prem. So he made so much effort. Prabhupada throughout the day would travel to various temples, towns, do management, give classes, lead kirtans, give interviews, talk and debate with various personalities throughout the day. Everybody who would be with him in his traveling entourage would become tired and would sleep off, absolutely exhausted. Prabhupada would go to rest around 9 o'clock, then around midnight he would wake up. 2-3 hours sleep, he would wake up. And when everybody was sleeping from midnight, over the whole night, he would sit under a lamp and translate the books at an age beyond 70. And he did not do this for one day. This was practically his regular routine. And he's not writing a novel. He's giving Bhaktivedanta purports on deep, profound scriptures where he's referring to so many commentaries by so many acharyas, reading the Sanskrit, translating. Massive task, very serious job. If we understand some of these things and reflect on them, we will realize this is impossible for any ordinary man to do. I posted some time ago a forward on WhatsApp on what Prabhupada said to one of his disciples about his books. Prabhupada would say that, why you're not reading my books? Even I read my own books. Prabhupada say, even I learn when I read my own books. And the disciple would think, how can the author learn something by reading his own book? Because the author already knows, that's why he's written, right? So how can he learn? And then Prabhupada, understanding that the disciple may think like that, he said, do you know why I learn when I read my own book? Because I have not written my own books. When I sit down to write, Krishna comes and he dictates to me and I write. And because I'm just noting down Krishna's dictation, when I hear, when I read, I also learn from my own books. So if I'm reading, why you're not reading? You should also read. So like that, Prabhupada would encourage. And so many individuals have become devotees by being connected to Srila Prabhupada's books. They are very, very powerful. I have seen the books of so many spiritual authors, but no book has had that much impact, and we can sense that much power and potency as the books of Srila Prabhupada. At least this is, I can say, is my own personal experience. Very clear, very direct, Very powerful, very heart penetrating. So we want to thank today. We are mentioning these few points because we want to thank Srila Prabhupada. The appearance day as well as the disappearance day of the great acharyas are worshipable. These tithis are worshipable. And we observe both the appearance and the disappearance. The appearance is celebrated because the devotee has come down to give us his association. The disappearance day is a sad day, but in one sense it is celebration because the devotee has gone back to Krishna's association. The Acharya has gone back. And both these days are very important. And the spiritual mercy of the Acharya is available on these 2 days in a very profound, sweet way. Srila Prabhupada not just led a most exemplary life. Prabhupada's life was very exemplary. Prabhupada was not a sannyasi from his early age. He was an English educated businessman, married with a family. Did you know that Prabhupada was a businessman? He had his own pharmaceutical company for a few years. So for all these details, you have to read Prabhupada's Leelamrit. Or you can also watch the Abhay Charanaravinda serial, which Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj has produced. Very nice. It's available on YouTube. I believe most of the episodes are there. Abhay Charan. Very nice. So he's from that background, and then how he met his spiritual master. He was a freedom fighter in the Gandhian movement. Then how, after he met his spiritual master, of course, even though from early childhood, Prabhupada had a very devotional environment at home. Prabhupada often says his father, Gaur Mohan De, was a pure devotee. So a lot of wonderful things. He had wonderful environment at home. He would worship Radha Krishna. He had his own Radha Krishna deities. He would do Jagannath Rath Yatra festival with his friends even at his very early age. And there are numerous pastimes from his early age as well. But still he was in Kolkata. He was not in a forest. He went to a British English school and then he studied there, and then he very he was in a urban setting. Of course, in those times, those were still early years of the 20th century. But nonetheless, he was still in that educated Indian environment, more or less. And then how that turning point came in his life when he met his spiritual master, and then how things changed from there. Very, very amazing. So please read that. So on this wonderful day, and of course, not only did Prabhupada lead a very exemplary life in terms of spreading Krishna consciousness and delivering so many souls and creating a machinery to deliver conditioned souls even after his departure. Prabhupada's own departure itself was very, very exemplary. Up until almost the last moments of his life where he could barely move, Prabhupada was still lying on the bed, almost in a state where he's going to leave his body. He was still translating books and giving commentary on the Bhagavatam, on the dictaphone, because he was not able to write. He had such perfect, clear consciousness, even as he was minutes away from leaving his body. This is just amazing. So he led a perfect life, and he demonstrated a perfect departure. So the lives of those great souls are worshipable because of the wonderful example that they set for all of us. So on this auspicious day, of course, I've just spoken very, very few things. I'm very small, not in a position to glorify pure devotees properly. But for our purification, just sharing a few thoughts. So in conclusion, I want to make an earnest appeal to all those devotees who haven't read about Prabhupada's pastimes, life and pastimes, please familiarize yourself. It's very purifying, very inspiring. And so that we can always also be cognizant that we are all products of his causeless mercy. And Prabhupada would say that there are times when Prabhupada told his disciples, some of his disciples would ask, oh, Prashant is just mentioning, Prabhupada met his spiritual master in 1922, exactly 100 years ago. Interesting. Yeah. True. Very nice. So, a very, very wonderful, exemplary life for all of us to draw inspiration. So let us express our gratitude to Prabhupada. We can never repay the debt of these great souls for what they have done. But if we wholeheartedly accept their mercy and make a sincere endeavor to follow their instructions and be very grateful to them, and according to our capacity, share that message with others, then these great souls become very happy. Prabhupada felt so indebted to all his disciples who were assisting him to spread Krishna consciousness. Because just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I have so many mangoes, so many fruits, but how can I alone distribute so many? So Prabhupada also had a similar mode. What can I do alone? So you feel so grateful to all his disciples who worked so hard and made so many sacrifices to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere. And Prabhupada promised, if you can make even one person Krishna conscious, I guarantee you that you will go back to Godhead. So Prabhupada felt so indebted to those who helped. So we are so fortunate that we are connected to such great souls who are so intimately connected to Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. And we have received that mercy in Parampara. So let us always remain grateful to them and pray to them that we be worthy recipients of this mercy and that we remain within the shelter of their grace in the association of the Lord's devotees without committing offenses and continuing to chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I want to stop here. We are almost at 9:57. On opening up the floor, if anybody wants to share anything, mention anything, or ask anything, we can take a few minutes and then we will recite the Damodar Ashtaka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Sudhir Sundar Prabhu.
Prabhu, I just wanted to share a point which I heard in the temple today by one of what is that? Prabhupada's disciple. He was telling that when Prabhupada was lying in his bed in Vrindavan before the last moments of his life, as you have told, as far as his material body is concerned, everything is already gone. He was only working at 5% only. Mostly all his organs, everything already gone. Although they were only at 5%, even at that time, he was still dictating. So that means that what shows how much important he kind of plays on what is that, and ensuring that whatever he has to say gets recorded. And the lesson is that for us, especially when once all our organs all fail, for us to even focus on anything, it's going to be very, very difficult. So even at that stage, he could even dictate. It's kind of really, really amazing. That was one point. And the second point is that Prabhupada has kind of built a house where the entire world can be. That means, in other words, he was trying that in what ISKCON you what see peoples of all kind of colors, which are all living in one single house. I think what is that? Bhaktivedanta Thakur also predicted something along the line about 100 years ago. And the third point he was telling that Prabhupada also told towards the end that your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate and kind of work and help each other. I think these are some of the three key points I just wanted to share. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sudarshan Prabhu. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Bhaskar here.
Yes, Bhaskar, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to say one thing about the devotee association, right? So Prabhupada was insisting us to have that devotee association. So when I was there in KL, I used to like have a devotee association there. I used to go to temple every Sundays and there. So once I come here, so I'm truly missing that association, and due to that, I'm feeling alone that I'm regularly chanting 16 rounds, but not having that much confidence in my chanting. So, but when I was there, I feel like it was easy for me to like among the devotees, if we do chanting, that is like giving us some enthusiasm, right? So that actually I'm missing. So I'm truly praying Krishna to get same association when I go to US as well. I'm still in India.
Yes,
so I'm planning to go to
US, most places we have nice association, so shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Once you are there, you let me know.
Yeah.
We will connect you to the right place,
Definitely.
the right devotees. All the best to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I just wanted to say that. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
I have a tricky situation. Someone who doesn't believe in God but still wants to read scriptures, like Bhagavatam, can I donate it or gift it?
Yeah, there is no restriction. Of course, the benefit of Bhagavatam will be when you read with faith. But if they receive the Bhagavatam from a devotee, that Bhagavatam, if they are not envious or offensive, can also transform their heart.
Yeah, they're not offensive or envious.
But what is their motivation to read Bhagavad if they are not devotees, or if they are atheist, or what?
No, he sort of, but he wants to read scriptures to know what is it in that scriptures, all those things. So I said, there's so many books you have. Is one of my good friend. So he said he will read, but maybe what I'm feeling is down the line he'll get that developed a devotion reading it. So just wanted to.
Yeah. True. There are so many situations and so many examples, so many stories where sometimes even the person who received the book was not the one who actually read it, but somebody else in their home or their family read it and became devotees. So we never know, if these books go to somebody's home, then they are like spiritual time bombs. We don't know in whose heart they will explode. Correct? You understand? So there's no harm, but of course, I mean, you have to make a judgment if you are donating a full set, whether that person is really so serious that he wants, might as well give them, a single volume from your set and ask them to read for a month. If they still show enthusiasm, maybe, you can give them a set. I mean, I'm just sharing my thought. Ultimately, whatever, will please you. There is no fault in giving. But people may say even for devotees to sincerely read the Bhagavatam regularly is not a small feat. So sometimes people may say, but that is just a matter of curiosity. It is better, I would think, better to just lend them Canto 1, Volume 1. If they can get past the first 3 verses, then they are qualified.
Yeah, I got it.
Because first 3 verses are very difficult to get past, because each of those verses is 10-15 pages of commentary. Sometimes people say so many things, but Krishna has his own way. But of course, Bhagavatam is very powerful. So the purifying potency is there. Okay, so we will recite the Damodar Ashtak if that is okay. Yeah, I'm just turning. Let me pin myself again. Okay, so I'm going to sing the Damodar Ashtaka, and if you want to keep your lamps ready, you can. Of course, let us offer our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Namine, Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha, Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarane. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaраvinda, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatakundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Yashodabhiyolukhaladavamanam Param Rishtam Atyantato Dritya Gopya Rudantamuhurnetram Yugmam Rijantam Karambhuja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhushwashakam Patri Rekhanka Kantha Shrita Graivam Damo Daram Bhakti Baddham Iti Drikswalila Bhirananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajjantam Akhyapayantam Tadyeshi Tadneshu Bhaktairjitattvam Punaha Prematastam Shata Vritti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadim Va Nachanyam Vrineham Vare Shadapiha Idam te vapurnatha gopala balam sada me manasya avirastam kimanyai idam te mukham bhojam atyanta nilair vritam kuntalai snigdha raktaischa gopya muhushchumbitam bimba raktadharam me Manasya avirastam malam lakshalabhai Namo deva damodar ananta vishnu Prasida prabho dukha jalabdi magnam Kripadrishti vrishyati dinam batanu Ruhane shamamagyam medhyakshi drishya Kuveratmajau Bada Murtyaiva Yadva Tvaya Mochitau Bhakti Bhajau Kritau Cha Tatha Prema Bhaktim Swakam Me Prayacha Namokshe Graho Mesti Damodareha Namaste Studamne Spuradipti Dhamne Twadiyodara tha vishvasya dhamne Namo radhikayai twadiyai priyayai Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Shri Damodar Bhagavan ki jai Shri Damodar Masa ki jai Hari Bol. Thank you all very much. So Damodar festival continues, lamp offering continues up to 8th of November. So keep that in mind. And I will see you on Wednesday this coming week, and we will continue our discussion of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.